Welcome to World of Marketing Podcast, a Foster Web Marketing production. Here's your host, Tom Foster.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the World of Marketing, where I talk with industry leaders about marketing, mindset, and business growth. This episode is brought to you by my own company, Foster Web Marketing. Foster Web Marketing is dedicated to providing cutting-edge, highly customizable websites, marketing, video, and strategic solutions specifically designed for law firms, medical practices, and other professional service businesses. DSS, our award-winning web technology and marketing systems, sets us apart from everyone else. Please visit our website at fosterwebmarketing.com if you want to know more. But this podcast is not about us. It's about Kristina Schneider, my buddy, Kristina. Kristina is a practice success coach for the ultimate estate planner, where her primary responsibility involves consulting and assisting estate planning attorneys on a variety of practice building and marketing strategies taught by nationally renowned estate planning attorney Philip Kavesh. Thanks to over 15 plus years of experience working side by side with Phil and in his law firm, Kristina has been able to assist numerous professionals, and equally as important, their staff, in the successful implementation of Phil's systems and practice building and marketing strategies. More importantly, she has presented on a number of topics, including practice management, calendar and time management, digital and social media marketing, and a number of other relevant topics. Well, Kristina, welcome to the World of Marketing podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm super flattered and honored to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here. I appreciate you being on the show.
No, I appreciate you for the opportunity to talk a little bit about what we do.
Okay, so Kristina, how long you've been working with Phil for 15 plus years? Phil Kavesh?
It'll be 19 years this weekend.
Wow. 19. So I had my numbers wrong, but 19 years. That's wow, that is a long time.
Well, I'm not trying to get Phil in trouble. He's a lawyer, but he hired me when I was 10, right? No.
Of course he did.
No, but yes, the unique opportunity was he was literally my first job right out of college. That's pretty unique. I don't think most people stay with that very first job out of college, but I think it's actually a true attestament of the principles that Phil teaches. He's actually got a ton of employees that have been with him for many, many years. And I think that
says a lot about Phil Kavesh, doesn't
it? Absolutely. That he's clearly cultivating a work environment that people want to stay in, that people feel empowered, that makes them feel good. I know that's the case for me. Obviously, personal and professional growth is always a goal for many people when they start a job. And I would say never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be here, but I absolutely love what I do. It doesn't feel like work. So.
That says a lot. And also, is that part of the training that you take people through, is how to cultivate a work environment like what Phil Kavesh has done?
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, it's interesting when we do our 2-day event for attorneys called the Ultimate Level. The ultimate level that they're trying to reach is essentially the Phil Kavesh model where he's at right now. And everybody wants where he's at, which is he's
right.
Got not only one, his law practice, but two, even ultimate estate planner, 2 businesses essentially running on autopilot because he's got people in place that have been with him long enough that he's properly trained and mentored to essentially run those businesses on their own. It affords him the semi-retirement that he's currently in, which is he gets to decide what tasks he really loves and wants to do, when he wants to do it. And then it's giving him that ability and that flexibility to go travel the world and go do things with his, kids and grandkids and wife and everything else, which is great. And everybody wants that. Everybody.
Yeah, for sure. How long has Phil been practicing?
He will be celebrating 43 years.
Wow.
His firm is celebrating 43 years. He had about 2 years before he started up his own firm where he did some other areas of law. I think he came from a litigation background, which isn't uncommon for a lot of estate planning attorneys, but he learned it within 2 years instead of 20 years that he didn't want to be in that field anymore. But yeah, so he's been in practice a long time. And I think one of the things I like to tell people that I believe sets us apart from some of the others that are out there is his practice is still open and still functioning today. And I think, again, it's about the systems and processes and the training and the infrastructure and the people that he has hired and put in place that shows that that's why it's still running today. So that means the principles that he's training others to do is still working today, right? It's not something that's theory that worked for, a 3-year practice that worked really well, and then they decided to go get into coaching and give up their law practice. So I think that kind of for us sets us apart, because we've gone through
it's the elite training for an estate estate planning practice of all of the, and I know a lot of groups that I've come across over the years that I have known about, that I have worked with. And this is by far the most elite, based on fact, based on real world practice building.
Yeah. And there's a lot of
you guys share everything. You guys share.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what, like, our 2-day event, I say it's basically the crash course, right? When I was a business major when I was in undergrad, and I remember one of my business professors telling me, if you guys want to go to law school, it's actually a statistic, at least, and I don't know the truth of it, but business majors tend to be fantastic lawyers. And I don't know why that is. And my only thought is perhaps it's because if they do end up starting their own practice, they have some of that business know-how already. But for a lot of lawyers, maybe they were poli-sci majors, maybe they went to other areas, and then somehow they landed in estate plan, or in the legal field and went to law school. But most lawyers know that law school did not prepare them for how to run their business, all like as an actual business. And unless they, got their MBA before or after they got their law degree, all the nuances of running a business, they don't know. And it's not just lawyers,
right.
By the way. It's doctors and chiropractors and dentists.
It's
and
all of us.
Professionals. It's everyone, which is actually, it's funny enough because I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I just picked business because I was like, everything's a business, right?
Right,
and
right.
Generic enough that like I'll figure it out. And so I see our 2-day program as essentially a condensed kind of MBA course specific to estate planning attorneys. And I think, there are some other coaching programs and some other programs that teach lawyers, but I think some are generic and they're all kinds of lawyers. So, and I think different types of
yours is very inclusive, and it's a small group, right?
We do like to keep things intimate and small, which I love too, because I went to a small school for college, and I just know that personal attention and hand-holding. One of the things that benefit that you get from our 2-day event is that we actually do a personal consultation of you and your firm before the group. And for some people, they go, well, why would I want, well, first of all, some people don't want that hot seat, but the other thing too is that why would I want to sit through other people's consultations? And there's just so much learning that happens. I always tell people our program's great for the newbie up to the senior attorney that's been in practice for as long as Phil, because there's always something going on and there's always something for them to learn, from someone else, so even though there might be somebody there that has no staff, they're a true solo, and they haven't built the staff, but now they're going to hear what happens when you do have staff. And there's all these moving pieces, and there's all these issues that come up from having multiple personalities there and all these moving parts. And they're going to hear from other people. They're going to be able to, glean from other people's consultations a lot of learning before it happens, which is great, right? Let's learn from other people's mistakes and issues than having to learn the hard way, which is really, I think, I can't speak for Phil, but I've heard him say this before. That's really the driver for him of why he created the Ultimate Estate Planner and our Ultimate Level program. It's really him wishing he had an ultimate level when he was, starting out his practice. It would have saved him a lot of time, effort, and money and hard, lessons that he had to learn on his own. And so we're really trying to fast track people to getting to success, getting to the ultimate level, which is Phil's level, quicker without having to make all those mistakes and find out the hard way.
And does Phil participate?
Yes.
Himself?
So yeah, it was only
Wow.
this past year that I started really taking over the main part of the lecture. We actually discontinued the ultimate level back in 2017, I believe, 16 or 17. It was just a lot for Phil to go up there and speak for 2 days, 2 full days on his own. Plus, as I mentioned, we do consultations. So there's like prep time that you have to prep for those consultations. And so what he's been able to do is essentially train and delegate to me how to do all the lecture part. We have a different speaking style.
Sure.
But I basically have taken over all the lecture portion. I don't like to call it lecture, but it really is lecturing. But all the training part of it, which is really the first full day and the beginning part of the second day. And then he and I tag team during the consultations. And the consultations is really what he loves. That's his passion. That's really where he feels like he's able to give back, give commentary, chime in, and I'll chime in too if there's things I can pick up. And it's actually interesting. You'll see this when you attend. I know you and your group are going to be
Yep.
there.
Yep.
You'll see that how we just have this dynamic where we've effectively mind melded, and so we just we're doing this dance up there with people that's really really unique. So people are getting kind of the best of both of us, kind of picking up and piggybacking off one another and everything else. But he's there for the social stuff, and a lot of people, they love that. It's kind of he's able to do what the things he loves to do and pick and choose which things he's able to do. But we're super happy that we've been able to figure out a way to continue our ultimate level programs, and be able to give back without him, before actually it was pre-COVID. So between 2017 and COVID, we had pre-recorded video. And I told Phil, if we go back to live presentations, no one's going to want to fly out to Redondo Beach or wherever we hold our event and then sit down and watch a 4-hour video or, a video recording of a presentation he gave. And so, and there were some things that obviously had been updated. So I said, hey, I'd like to, figure out how I can, do the live presentations for us. And so that's where we're at. And so it's been working out really, really well. It's made these events, extremely engaging, and just it's a different angle for me versus facilitating versus actually being up there and presenting. So,
well, I'm sure that people are dying to know because we've been teasing them about this 2-day event. It is August 17th through the 19th.
Correct. That's the next one that we're holding in Redondo Beach. And then we have a second one coming up beyond that. It's actually the first time we've gone back to the East Coast in a while.
Yeah,
it's in Charleston, South Carolina, and that's October 5th through the 7th.
Yeah.
So we're super excited. We like to kind of place them. They're usually in Redondo Beach, Dallas, or in Charleston works out. That may become our East Coast venue that we continue to go back to. And the goal being that we're going to try to keep it somewhat regional, where people nearby can make it to them and or travel. We have some people from the East Coast, like we have an East Coast group coming to the Redondo Beach event because they're going to go to Napa before. So you guys can figure out some fun stuff to do with all of our events. But yeah, it's basically it's a 2 full days. One thing that I know Phil's always enjoyed or preferred is to not have people be out too much of their practice, because that's usually something they're weighing when they're making decisions to go to an event. And so it kicks off Thursday night with a welcome reception in the evening, and then it's all day Friday, and it is all day Saturday. And so just depending on where we're located, like in Redondo Beach, most people end up staying the extra night and then leaving on Sunday or enjoying the extra day in town.
And if you want to find out more information about this, it's the ultimateestateplanner.com/ultimate level.
Correct.
That is the URL that has tons of information about it, about everything that you're going to learn, and where you can register, and a bunch of testimonials from other people that have gone to the event. So
the other thing I want to mention about our event too, because as you said, we give away everything, is we actually provide a 2-inch binder that has not only the presentation materials in there, but there's something like 250 pages of consisting of 80 plus exhibits. And all these exhibits are job descriptions, organizational charts, workflow charts, forms to use with your clients. I mean, there's just marketing material.
All the materials that they need to do this. And you and I talked about this when we were preparing for this call. for this podcast about how lawyers, in particular, they sign up for all these educational and trainings, and they think that like they just go and attend the event, and that's all they need to do, and they're done. Yep. But that's just the beginning, right? And so what you're doing is you're giving them, first of all, the training, but then the materials that they need to do it. And then don't you follow up with them later on down the road?
Yeah. So one thing we do at the event is we schedule a post-event implementation call with them. That's free. It's that's included as their benefit of attending. And what we do in that implementation session is we already do an implementation session at the event, but that's more of a group. What I'll do is then meet with them individually and get a little more narrow and very specific about, we actually have them narrow down 3 different things from the event that they're going to work on first, second, and third. And by the way, you get way more than 3 things. We actually have these AHA sheets that they're kind of keeping and tallying throughout the event of all the things that they want to implement. And I force them in the implementation session to say, okay, now I need you to pick 3, and they're all,
that's great.
They have a ton of ideas, and I get that, but
sure.
Nothing's worse than having a ton of ideas on paper, and because you just have so much and you're not sure how you're going to get there, I have to focus them on just 3. Right. Really, in reality, I'd rather have them just focus on 1 and get 1 done, because even 3 sometimes can be really
right. But it's great you keep them accountable.
Exactly. And then what we do is at the event, I like to always be transparent about what we're doing, is we offer ongoing implementation coaching with them. It's a monthly coaching program. We have different levels, some that offer just my time, more frequent touches of my time, and then a more premium version that actually includes quarterly sessions with Phil, if they really would like Phil's time. So they do have options. And the way I see it is like you said, a lot of, and it's not just lawyers, I think we all do this in some form or fashion throughout our life, is we know we have challenges, we know we need to work through them, and we are in search of solutions. We're in search of solutions, and we go and we go find a solution, and then we either don't stick with it enough or do the work. We talked about doing the work. You got to implement. I mean, the analogy I used was weight loss. I think every weight loss program, it works, but you have to work it, and so that's why everyone feels like they're just jumping around from diet program or weight loss program to program. And then they hear from a friend, they go, well, this program worked for me. And they go, oh, I want to do that one. And it's like, they go do that one. Well, that one didn't work for me. Well, you didn't work it, and so I kind of see the analogy being that our coaching's like, we're your trainers. We're going to check in with you. We're going to see what you're working on. We're going to see what you're going to do in the next month. We're going to troubleshoot for you what issues you're experiencing. We're going to continue to guide you, because I will tell you, for a lot of people that come to our Ultimate Level event, they have to come back again several times. And we always say it's not because they didn't get it. It's because it's like peeling back the onion. You go back home, you implement a little bit, and now you're at the next phase. What's next? And then what some people will say, I always laughed because they did this even with Phil's video recording, which means that he said exactly the same thing, is people would come back to those events and it was the same video recording, right? But they would say, was that on the video the first time? And it was like, yes, he's always said that. But I always equate it to, if you ever bought a new car and then all of a sudden when you're driving in that car, you're like, you see your car everywhere. And it's like, did everyone just go buy the same car at the same time? No, those cars have always been around. You just didn't have that awareness of that car when you were driving at the time, but now you do because you're in that same car. And so what happens is when you're at our event, you're only going to get from it what you currently are open to seeing, if that makes sense, because you're looking for solutions to the current issue, which is why I love our consultations that we do, because you're going to be forced to kind of see other people's issues. And then you'll be like, oh, wait, hold on. I need to listen to this consultation a little bit closer because I do have that issue. Right.
I do have that issue. Right. Yeah. I wasn't even thinking about it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It's a lot like a mastermind that you guys are doing, where you have hot seats, which are fantastic ways of helping each other out.
Yeah. Because we would love this. We really prefer this model compared to, the really large events that have 100 attorneys and you just have speakers up there talking at you, and then they hope you got some good value.
And they're pitching you on buying their stuff and whatever,
Right.
And you guys are just about teaching. And Phil's tough too. Like, so he's not going to teach you anything that he has not used himself.
Yes.
To success. I know it took a long time we do his website. It took us forever to prove ourselves.
Yeah. He said, I'm not going to give you no testimonial that you
I
can
know.
use.
I know. It took forever, but now he's going to give us a testimonial. So.
Well, because what we find is that sometimes attorneys, they will put their stamp of approval on something and they've tried it for a month or they've tried it for a year or so, and then it's not sustainable. And so Phil's very much about sustainable results. One thing it's no secret for most attorneys that Phil is not a fan of client maintenance programs. Those are those paid annual maintenance programs that some attorneys charge their clients for. Mm-hmm. And you'll hear a little bit about that when you attend our event too, Tom. But he's not a fan of them because his whole thing is it might feel like it's successful because on its face you're generating a lot of cash initially, right? Or there's a cash flow generator there. And it may be people are giving you positive feedback, but what you're not really looking is over time, are people staying on that client maintenance program? Are you busting your butt and everybody's running around with their like chickens with their heads cut off to try to fulfill on it? And eventually, essentially what we found is that over about 3 years or so, most clients end up thinking, well, what am I paying for? Do I really need this? And Phil
That's what I'm thinking. I'm on one of those programs and I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm like, what the hell?
Or when time gets tough, like I know there's been a lot of talk this past year and a half or so about us hitting a recession. When a recession hits, what's going to be the first to go?
Exactly. That's like the first thing that I'm like, I'm not paying this. Forget you.
Well, Phil always says he loves an attorney in his service. He hopes you're in his service area if you have a client maintenance program because he touts his free service package.
Right.
He touts his free service package.
Of course.
And so it's a different model. And again, some things work for different people, but I always tell people it's really important to figure out, are you measuring the right metrics to determine your true return on investment? Because it's not just about the direct revenue that you're generating if it comes at an extreme cost and you can't take on other work or other business or you're losing. What happens is when people fall off those client maintenance programs, you might think, well, they're going into this free service package that you supposedly offer. No, they might be orphaned clients that are going somewhere else, right? Because they think in their mind, it's like, well, I have to pay to be a client or I have to pay to be a member with that firm.
Yeah. Okay, so anything else that they can expect to get besides a great time?
Yeah.
Right?
So I mentioned the binder of materials, and we also give you a flash drive of all those forms in modifiable form. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel and go, this is a great form. I'd love to, and have somebody in your office type that up. But what we talk about is we spend the morning time talking a lot about practice management. So everything from one thing I like to say that we also talk about is mindset. We start that off at the entire program because I will say, to me, whether the ultimate level is going to be successful for you or not it starts there. It's about your mindset. If you're going in there with kind of a closed mindset, Phil always says, if you're going in here going, well, I already know that. Well, if you know that, why aren't you doing it? Or, well, I tried that, but sometimes it's those devils are in the details, right? And so what we do is we spend a lot of time on mindset to really kind of get people into a proper frame of mind before we begin. And then we go over everything from how to actually get the work out the door and those systems and processes so we can help them be more efficient. Time management, which is huge. These attorneys are all busy, but oftentimes when I kind of pop open the hood and I look at these busy attorneys' schedules, I'm like, you're not productive. You're busy, but you're not productive.
You're busy, right.
Yeah, there's two different things. Work. There's two different things. Because if you're doing things inefficiently or you're constantly putting out fires or everything every day just feels draining to you, then there's something not working. Because I would say that estate planning is a unique area of law where it's probably one of the few areas of law that's even out there that you can have a very systematized practice with a lot of work-life balance. I mean, that's one of the reasons why a lot of, like I said, a lot of litigation attorneys end up transitioning into estate planning. But I often wonder sometimes for those litigation attorneys if it's a mindset shift, right? They've literally been functioning in chaos and stress, and they almost bring it to the estate planning end. They don't know how to work any way differently. So that's one of the reasons why, again, we spend a lot of time talking about mindset, because we got to get people into that proper frame of mind that, hey, nothing's going to change if nothing changes. So let's really talk, we're going to give you all the tools and all the things you need to know. And then, as I mentioned, we go into staff infrastructure, how to properly hire and train and manage the team. It's not an area that I think a lot of attorneys like to do. They're not always the best at it, and really it's not.
But that is so key, just like what we talked about when we first started this podcast, which is, the fact that you've been there for 19 years and Phil's able to.
Years, well, I'm going to tell you, my 19 years looks like nothing when I tell you that Phil's got a paralegal that's been with him for 34 years.
Wow.
He's got an office manager that's been with him for 29 years. He's got
that just says so much. 2
associate attorneys that are going to be celebrating 20 and 18 years. A state administration paralegal who's been there 15 years, and an executive assistant that's been here almost 10 years. So he's just got a lot of people that enjoy working for him, that are empowered in their roles that they serve for his different companies. And it becomes, look, we didn't come in that way. We didn't come in fantastic. People feel like Phil must be lucky. You just think all the great hires are over here in the South Bay area of Los Angeles. No, they're everywhere. But it's all about how you properly vet out the right candidate. And I will tell you how you properly train and onboard them, and then how you continue to manage them, which means you have to address the behavioral and the performance issues. You have to address whether you've properly set them up for success, which means you need to continue to mentor them. If I could give the biggest advice to attorneys about their staff, is you got to mentor them. Attorneys are type A personalities, they're perfectionists, and they go, well, I don't know if I can ever trust anybody to do
you got to love them. You have to love them.
And I'm like, you can absolutely teach anybody how to do what you do, but you have to be willing to give that up. And oftentimes, it's like they're almost sabotaging themselves because they're not willing to invest the time into properly training.
They have difficulty trusting others.
I think that's true. Is that perfectionist? Well, for some, it's like it's quicker and easier if I just do it, right? And it's not, because you're one person. And where I find for a lot of attorneys, business owners, is there's a bottleneck at them, because everybody's sitting there kind of waiting for the approval, waiting for the review, waiting for the okay, waiting for the answer from their attorney boss. And now everybody's just kind of functioning in terms of either fear or just lack of knowledge, or just, again, there's this kind of bottleneck at that attorney that can't trust and empower people and give them the tools and resources to be able to make those decisions on their own and be held accountable to them, right?
So I would say to all those attorneys that are listening that, oh my God, this has happened to me over and over again, and I can't seem to hire the right people. This is you. This is your problem, not the people that you're trying to hire. So I'm telling you, this is the place to be, August 17th through the 19th. And what is October 7th through the 9th?
5th through the 7th.
Oh, sorry, the 5th through the 7th. You pick your dates, either Redondo Beach, California, or Charleston, South Carolina. I'll be at both.
Yeah.
Which I'm really looking forward to. It'll be our first time participating, and we're very excited to do so. And we'll have a little surprise there too. And there's only a few slots left, so you better sign up quick, because they're already almost full. And I guess you can get most of your questions answered on that webpage, and if not, just give them a call, and Kristina or somebody can answer your questions there about the event.
For anyone listening, I'm happy to even have you email me. My email is just Kristina with a K at ultimateestateplanner.com. Happy to take any direct emails that people may have having listened to this, if they are trying to figure out if this is right for them. Or, what I will tell you for a lot of attorneys is they'll look at the dates and they'll go, oh, it's not a good time. It's not a good time. I'm really busy.
Yeah, that's the easy thing to say. Yeah.
And I will tell you, there is no better time than right now, because I imagine we will continue to do these year in and year out for the foreseeable future, but you're just prolonging what you're currently functioning in right now. And I think right now is a fantastic time to get all this information, because as we head into the year end, this gears you up for you to set up your firm for success for the following year. And you have to wait till the following year, but I'm just thinking for most people, it gives them that information and they got to go back and flesh it out. Right. And so what a fantastic time to be able to do that. And the other thing I want to add too is, for some people, they might want to know, should they just go? Should they bring partners? Should they bring other people? We do offer extremely discounted kind of at cost fees for the additional people that you may wish to bring. It's up to you. I mean, I would tell you that I have some attorneys that will come by themselves, see that this is fantastic, and then go, I'm going to bring my office manager, I'm going to bring my assistant or my partner. And they come a second time. And then they realize they really need to bring everybody. They come a third time, which isn't a bad way to do it either. But I will tell you that for most people that I've seen get the kind of exponential results, they've kind of used it as a firm retreat, and they brought everybody because
it's hard to get people to buy in.
Exactly.
When you go back with all these great ideas and all this change you're going to do and
there's going to be different ways you're going to be doing things, and there's going to be things you're going to be asking people to do, and they're going to be frustrated because they're already busy, right? Everyone's busy over there,
right? And people don't like change,
and they don't understand the why. Why are we doing it this way? The best testimonial I ever got from a staff person about our event said, they used to hate when their attorney would come to our event, and he came like 6 times. And on the last time he brought his staff members, and they said, I used to hate when he would go to this, because he'd come back and he had all these different things he wants to do and all these different things we're doing, and then she was like, I fought him tooth and nail to come to this event. I did not want to come. And then she stopped and she goes, I see why now. I see what we're doing. I see where we're headed. And so I see a couple different things. One, if an elite attorney goes to the event and takes back what they have, you have a combination of things. First of all, again, that bottleneck thing, right? That attorney is never going to see implementation if they're super busy and they can't really delegate it to the staff, because staff doesn't know what they learned, right? And then it also, even if they did try to delegate or tell the staff to do something, it oftentimes is a telephone game issue. Things get lost in translation, those details that we covered, right? And the other issue I see too is that staff are in the trenches. What's funny to me, and maybe this unsells our event, is when I've done staff, like I've actually, with some of my coaching clients, I've actually done employee surveys where I've done interviews with their team. And I've done surveys with them. The staff knows the things and the challenges that are happening in the practice. And one of the questions we ask them is, do you have any possible solutions? And some of those solutions are the very solutions. I mean, they love our event, because they're like, yes, I've been trying to tell, Bob to do this, or, but sometimes these attorneys need to hear it from a third party or from a Phil, or me as Phil, to then be okay, or see the why, or see that it's working for other people, to then be sold on it. And so, but the team that's in the trenches, they see other issues going on in the firm that oftentimes those business owners don't even realize or see.
I would even add another thing, because like my company, I'm the visionary of the company. I'm not the implementer. Right. I have tons of people to implement for me. I can't implement a thing. I'm the creative visionary, and that's where I'm happiest. But I would come to your event and be like, this is fantastic. We're going to go implement. We're going to do everything. And I would come back and not be able to explain a thing, except in grandiose, but I would not be able to. And that's why, if you're a visionary, then you need to bring your implementer with you. At least bring that person that can implement it throughout your organization.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Well, Kristina, thank you so much for being on the World of Marketing podcast and telling us about your event. And I'm super excited to finally meet you in person.
Yes.
We met multiple times over Zoom over
Correct.
the years. So this is going to be great. I'm looking forward. It's just next month, so it's right around the corner.
Yes.
So everybody sign up quick. Like I said, there's only a few slots left. And Kristina, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Okay, you take care. You stand by. All right, everybody. It's been Tom and Kristina on the World of Marketing. Have a great day, and thank you.